Everybody here now? I mean, it's better than me yelling. All right, we'll try and get this thing started. You'll have to excuse me. I've done this before with Fred, and I kind of get joked out sometimes. I sat down and had to write this last night, and my wife had to proofread it because I'd be terrible up here talking without notes. Okay, those of you that don't know me, I'm Alan Carter. I'd like to welcome everybody to this prestigious day. It is my honor to be here today to recognize one of Kutztown's finest race car drivers. It would be hard to find another small town area with so many great drivers and owners, such as Vince Conrad, Charlie Gilmore, Freddie Adam, Rags Carter, Red Coffin, Earl Durr, Bruce Young, Jimmy Delcamp, the Bailey Bunch, the Meissner family, Ed and Ralph Schuler, just to name a few. And I know there's some I missed, but I'm sorry for that, but it's just, that's the ones I can remember. My family moved here in 1964, mainly because Freddie Adam told us it would be close to all the racetracks that my dad wanted to race at. Well, he forgot about Middletown, but so I've known Freddie and Marlo Adam for over 50 years. Dad even drove Fred's car a couple of times when he didn't have a ride. I'm proud to call them my friends. So, today, through the hard work of Jeff Yoder, whose idea set this day in motion, we're here to honor Freddie Adam. Ralph Schuler did a lot of the legwork, and thank you, Ralph. Thanks to Earl Durr. He was my partner over here putting this sign up. I appreciate that, Earl. The town of Kutztown should be very proud of the one of their own, Freddie Adam, Kutztown County. And lastly, I'd like to thank the doctor. I don't think he's here today. He was very kind. I come to him 6 months ago and talked to him about this sign and about Fred's garage, and he was very kind about it. He said, yes, anywhere you want to put it, just go ahead. And we're gonna, Paul Weissel donated a sign for his office. He's gonna hang it in his office in here. And felt good that somebody, not even knows anything about racing, was kind enough to do that. And when you see this sign, you'll think it's very nice. The state, Schuler got a hold of the state, and the state, believe it or not, the state made a historical marker. And I never believed that they would do something like that for a small town, but they did. All right, I'm done now. Paul Weissel would like to say a few words.
Thank you, Alan. A few years ago, my buddy Pete Trumbauer stopped by to see me after we were playing with some vintage race cars out at Latimer Valley, and explained to me that he had made the deal for me to write Freddie Adams' biography. I said, you did what? And Pete was the fellow who got the idea going. Freddie and Mary had compiled a tremendous amount of information on Freddie's career, but putting the whole story together was a daunting proposition, and I was thrilled to be able to come back in and find that they had a tremendous basis for the book that we did put together. Freddie was very helpful and felt that his biography was an important thing to help say thanks to all of the friends who served not only on the crew but supported him in this town. Freddie Adam is arguably Kutztown's favorite son, and he and Marlo and his crew did a wonderful job in getting the name of Kutztown out and about and making Kutztown a point on the map to a whole bunch of people in the tri-state area. We appreciate everybody that has been a part of writing the book. We certainly appreciate all of you who supported in getting the book purchased and helping us to have a number of printings of that particular book. Freddie's main concern was, he said, after we get all this thing done, you think anybody will be interested enough to buy it? I assured him that that was going to be the case, and again, we thank all of you for doing that. It's a wonderful day here to honor Freddie and Marlo and all the folks who served on his crew, and thank you all for coming out and being part of the ceremony.
Thank you, Paul. Kyle Flowon, where you at?
Hi, my name's Kyle Foiler. I'm actually Freddie Adams' grandson. Mary asked me to speak, and I always love to speak in front of these things. Last time I had to speak, it wasn't, for his funeral and stuff like that, so it was kind of a little tough. But seeing you guys and seeing the crowd, and I walked my son down here, he's like, wow, Dad, this is, this is pretty cool to see all these people. I thank every one of you guys for coming out here and supporting my grandfather. What a wonderful person he was. When I first got to know my grandfather, he was one of the badasses. He'd tell exactly how it was, and all the grandkids were very afraid of him because we didn't want to be bad in front of him because he'd let us know it. But as the years went by, he was an extraordinary man. So much, he taught me so much. He built my character. If you know Grandpa, and every one of you guys does, once again, he was a badass. I tried to lead myself like him through all the sporting events I did. You don't know by now, I wrestled for Kutztown, placed 6th in the state of Pennsylvania. And because of him, because of my family, I am who I am today. And I think every time when somebody stops by and says, "Are you Freddie Adams' grandson?" I said, "Yes, I am." And I'm very proud and proud of what he's accomplished. So thank you very much for coming out and supporting this.
Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, I'm sure we could probably go out in the crowd and spend the whole day here with all the stories about Fred. But one gentleman who I think we owe this to, two gentlemen, Jeff Yoder and Ralph Schuler. This was Jeff Yoder's idea. Ralph got on board, and then they asked me to help, and I was very proud to help. So it wasn't just us. I mean, there was a lot of people who were involved. The racing club supports all this, and so Jeff, would you like to come up and talk, please?
Alan, thanks a lot, and boy, it's great to see all of you out here today. I currently live in St. Augustine, Florida, but as a native Kutztownian, this is a great day. We've been up here all week with my wife, and I can't think of a better way to end my stay here. Spending so much time in racing and everything, this is truly one of the best days I've had, and I can't remember when. I put together some thoughts about what I want to say about Freddie and the entire crew and everything, and if you'll indulge me, please, I want to read it because I want to get it right. Thank you. What a great day to be in Kutztown, PA. The town's bicentennial celebration is ongoing, and there was another great night of racing Wednesday at the action track with full pits and a full grandstand. On a personal note, I have survived long enough for my 50th class reunion last Saturday night at the Kutztown Fire Company. Our high school class of 65 had over 70, the surviving 115 members of the class in attendance, which is pretty remarkable, and I see some of my classmates here today. So that was another highlight of my week. But the highlight of this week's activities is occurring right now, right here, with the unveiling of the historic plaque marking the location of the famous Adder Brothers Racing Garage. Additionally, it is celebrating the life and career of arguably the greatest sports ambassador in the history of Kutztown, the Kutztown Comet, Freddie Adams. Even today, if you go to any speedway or gathering of racing enthusiasts up and down the East Coast, and the name Freddie Adams is mentioned, someone will always identify Freddie as the Kutztown Comet. I volunteer each Wednesday at the Living Legends of Motor Racing Museum in Daytona Beach, Florida. When talking to visitors, mostly racing fans, I often let them know where I was born and raised in Kutztown, PA. And more often than not, the reply from each is, I know Kutztown. It's the home of Freddie Adam. In reality, this historical plaque also represents more than just the Adam Garage and Hall of Famer Freddie Adam. Freddie's brother Marlo "Booby" Adam was the man behind the scenes who was there every step of the way building those famous number 8 modifieds over 30 years. And Ford racing engines had no bigger supporter than Booby, who always wanted a Ford racing engine between the frame rails of the number 8 modified. There was no greater fan and supporter of Adams racing than Sister Tootie. Well known to most short track racing fans, I can still see Tootie walking up the grandstand at the Reading Fairgrounds each Friday night, clipboard in hand, that great orange Cooper Speed Shop jacket, a keeper of exact details. Her work can be seen in the fine autobiography of Freddie's life written by Paul Weisler Jr. It took tireless work and dedication by crew members to keep the Adam Modifieds running each week. Bruce, Bernard, and Dean Niss, Russ McCracken, Bud Croninger, Pee Wee Regal, Moose Eidenhart, who's here today, Carl, Denny, Dennis, and Earl Smith, Bobby Adam, Troy Adam, Don Becker, Fat Bidding, Harold Fagley, Don and Ernie Frederick, Paula Giannini, Gary Klein, Carl Mess, Willie Miller, Charlie Moyer, Glenn Packard, Kermit Rhodes, J.P. Schnee, Rush Moyer, Ducky Shadler, Kevin Snyder, and Bobby Welder. We're all part of the Adams team. Most all were from the Kutztown area. They gave up valuable family and free time to be part of the race team. And as most of us know, they all like to have a good time. Former Kutztown racer Pete Lovell sent me an email this week saying how great it was that a historical marker was created for Freddie, and sorry he wasn't able to attend the ceremony. He shared a story where late one night he was working at Charlie Gilmore's garage, just up a few alleys from here behind the Historical Society. It must have been around midnight when they heard the exhaust note of a race car flying up the alley in the direction of Freddie's shop. They never saw the car, but the commotion went on for a couple of minutes and covered a couple of blocks. Pete and Charlie always figured that the boys with the 8 probably had a few post-race beers and decided to take a race run. Or from my perspective, they were just having a little bit of fun of our police chief at that time, the great Fotsy Moyer. In addition to Freddie, this town has produced an exceptionally large group of well-known drivers and owners, starting in the 1940s and continuing to this day. Collectively, they have accumulated hundreds of race wins and numerous track championships throughout the North Seas. Most weeks during the racing season, it is virtually impossible to open up your favorite racing paper without at least one feature winner or top finisher being from right here in Kutztown, PA. Vince Conrad, Charlie Gilmore, Ken Gilmore, Brett Gilmore, Freddie Hand, Rags Carter, Alan Carter, Glenn Carter, who are both here today, Red Kaufman, Earl Derr, who's here today, the Bailey family, the Meitzer family, Walter Delcamp, Jimmy Delcamp, Ducky Spone, who used to deliver me my Wrencher's baked goods 2 times a week, Pete Lovell, Paul Barsha, Rocky Balthaser, who I had the pleasure of having dinner with last night, the Schuler brothers, good friend of mine, and many others, including many current great young racing talents at the Fairgrounds Action Track called Kutztown their home. In many racing circles, Kutztown is known as one of the premier racing towns in America, and that is really the truth. Anyone growing up as a sports fan has their individual heroes, greats whom they followed religiously and looked up to. When I was young, some of my favorites were Richie Ashburn, Robin Roberts, Chuck Bednarik, Norm Van Brocklin, Wilt Chamberlain, and Bobby Clark from the Flyers. But my sports idol and hero, from the time I saw my first race at Dorney Park in 1953, was Freddie Adam. Excuse me. Wow, he was from my hometown. And I could ride my bike down the alley and actually see him and the crew working the car. One night at Reading during the Flathead era, Freddie won the feature in a white number 42 coupe. After the races, my dad and I went down the track to see Freddie. In Victory Lane. As we approached the car, Freddie said, "Hey Frank, how you doing?" To my dad. I could not believe that my dad actually knew someone as great as Freddie Adams. Freddie and the crew were always the first car in the pits each Friday night at Reading. And they were still there well after midnight when Lindy turned out the lights as a way of telling everyone it was time to go home. Any car Freddie drove at the Reading was always the most popular after the races. There was Freddie, winter crash, that big smiling cigar, greeting every last fan as if he were his best friend. Humble to the end, when Paul Wisler Jr. was working on the book about Freddie, Freddie's biggest worry was whether anybody would buy it, if you can believe that. If Freddie were here today, I'm sure he would be a little embarrassed and deflect all the accolades to his brother, sister, and crew. But he also would be so grateful, like I am, at the great turnout of so many fans and friends that are here to celebrate one of Kutztown's special treasures. Freddie Adams, our friend, our role model, and our idol. Thank you.
I want to thank Jeff for making this a stop on his way up. I know he's going to stay up the whole week for his reunion, so we figured we'd have to. I try to get him stay next week. If you guys don't know, the Reading Fair starts and we'll be out there racing every night. And some of the old guys from Grandview are coming down this year too, on Tuesday night. But we want to keep this going, so does anybody else like to say something before Mary, would you like to come up here? I want you to come up and help Jeff take the, come on. I'm going to let Jeff and Mary pull Jeff wrote this. If you look, people that don't know this, it's never been in Kutztown, that's behind those walls of Freddie Adams' garage. And we could all that have been around Freddie could tell you a lot of stories. But he was a great guy. And I was proud to put this sign up. Me and Earl Durwood out here sweating. I'm glad it's done and over. Okay, we're going to let Jeff and Mary, you have to crawl behind the bushes there. Cool?
You want Dad out too?
Yes, come on up. I asked if anybody wanted to come up. Whatever, get in there, Marlon. Sorry about the trees, but I couldn't cut the dentist trees down.
Okay.
All right, everybody got their cameras ready? Go ahead, Jeff, so you can slide it off. Hopefully it slides off. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Marlo and Mary, for coming up. Appreciate it. I appreciate everybody here. It means a whole lot. What's that? Can you, once you got three standing in front of the sign out here, so they can get a picture. Give me that. Right there in front of Marlo.